Please, after reading the caption of this broadcast, it is very important that you read the description as well. Don't just read the caption. Read the description. That is the body of the broadcast. Then like it, which is your own offering in the temple of truth. Your offering is, sorry, your like is your offering. Then, as they say, there is love in sharing. So share the broadcast. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, your frenemies, and tell them that Mayegun today, Mayegun is live. And if you have done all of that, indeed, you can sit back, relax, and let's have a gist. It's an update. So this afternoon, I asked the Grok, an AI on X, to help me design an image of Mazi, Nnamdi Kanu, as a king. Yeah, put a crown on his head. Let me see what it looks like. And indeed, he gave me 4 different beautiful images. The first 2, the second 2. Now, why did I do that? I was trying to kind of get an image of a man that is so resolute in his belief that no amount of propaganda or intimidation, even torture or incarceration, has been able to actually change his mind or change his position in the last 6 years. In fact, let's say it's in the last 9 years, in the earliest, when he was first kidnapped by this man in Lagos in December 2015. And what was his offense? To those who care to know, number 1, Nnamdi Kanu has committed no offense known to any law. And that is why, you know, it has been so difficult for the supposed giant of Africa, Nigeria, to be able to actually convict him, except the social media and the media trial and conviction and the guilt, you know, the guilt verdict that they have been spreading, including those of you who have bought that severally for different reasons. The reason why they have not been able to actually convict him of any crime is very straightforward, because he's committed no crime. In the Geneva Convention, as they say, human rights is God-given right to start with. And every ethnic or tribal ethnic people in the world have the rights to self-determination, self-defense. But as we all know, the story behind this contraption called Nigeria, the vested interest, the interested party, who forced people who have nothing in common, forced them together to make up a country, and the purpose wasn't actually to progress them or better them or make them kind of pursue their right to happiness. No, it was a pure business arrangement. So asking for a peaceful referendum where people can decide if they still want to be part of an arrangement, a country or not, is not a crime. Not even in Nigeria. But because the owners of Nigeria and those who are benefiting from this rot, from this contraption, breaking up of Nigeria is like death sentence to some of them economically, especially those who's feeding bottle, like I said, those who are benefiting from this fraudulent arrangement. And the problem is not with those who are benefiting alone. In fact, you can identify those who are benefiting easily and say, oh, they are selfish, this and that. You see, those ones who are looking forward to benefit from this arrangement, from this one Nigeria, those ones who are not benefiting now, but they are looking forward to, like it is, turn by turn, Nigeria Limited. Those ones are even more dangerous. On the one part, right, on the one part, they will agree the marginalization of the Igbos in the equation of a power in Nigeria, they will agree. In fact, when it is politically kind of like expedient, politically favorable, they will side and scream this marginalization. At the moment they are let in, given a seat at the table, then they can throw just anyone and everyone under the bus. So this is the story of Nigeria, and this is the story of Nnamdi Kanu, a man that defied all kind of human greed, selfishness, self-centeredness, to stick to his own strong belief, even when those who were supposed to be his own folks, right, the same Igbos, right, who have been the direct victims of this fraudulent arrangement called Nigeria, those self-hating Igbos have come for him many times. A lot of them, like they say in this modern parlance, pick me, pick me. They are those who are ready to do just anything and everything to placate or appease the owners of Nigeria, including denying their own ancestral heritage, being Igbos. There are those that believe that they have to do more, just like the blacks in America back in the days. If you are black in this kind of in this part of the world, right, you must know something. That is, you must do things like extra before you can be accepted. You must academically, you must kind of do extra before you can fit in. And then if you are given any kind of responsibility, you must prove your mettle, like extra to the extra mile before you can be possibly even like partially accepted. And there are Igbos in Nigeria who have made themselves those we call the house niggers back in the days in America. Those who are willing to lick every ass, okay, to bend every knee and kiss every ring, in order to prove to the owners of Nigeria that they are not Igbos that they fear. You know what I mean? Like Akukomole in that Saheed Osupa's music, Kolo Kolo Kota. Now, Akukomole is like this, chicken. No, not chicken, like a cock. A cock with this red, what do you call it, in his head, right? Then you have the Kolo Kolo, which is the fox that actually eats chicken. But he's so afraid of a cock because of the red meat on his head, because he thought it's a fire. So there are those in Nigeria who kind of are also afraid of the Igbos, that there are also self-hating Igbos that want to prove to them that you shouldn't be afraid of us. I am not like the Igbos you are afraid of. I am very easy. Look at it, I can do anything. So why am I saying this? Or why am I kind of pointing this out? Nnamdi Kanu committed no crime, and I'll keep reminding you of that. The only crime he committed is to say there should be a referendum where people can decide if they still want to be part of this contraption or not. And there is no propaganda. There is no kind of, lie in this world, on this earth, that they have not kind of like a deploy to destroy this Nnamdi Kanu and his IPOB. And the full meaning of IPOB, for your information, is the indigenous people of Biafra. So he asked peacefully, let us decide if we still want to be part of this contraption or not. And he stated clearly why. Now, they haven't denied the profiling, the marginalization of these Igbos in Nigeria, to the point that some of them, the descendants of those who fought or who were part of that genocidal war called Biafra War, their descendants today will tell you Igbos will never lead Nigeria. Igbos will never be president of Nigeria. The Igbos can never be trusted with power, because their parents told them that, but their parents didn't tell them why they are so afraid of the Igbos. So, like I said, there are Igbos that wanted to be like, just give us anything. We don't want to be president, just anything. Just, we are willing to play balls. So the offense of Nnamdi Kanu is to say, no. If you call a country, if you say this country is our country, then we must all have equal rights in it. without us having to suspect or keep suspecting one another, that is not a real country. Let's have a chat around it. And indeed, there will be Igbos who want to be part of Nigeria still. And there are Igbos who don't want to be part of Nigeria. That is not a crime. It is not. So Nnamdi Kanu was therefore called enemy or tagged enemy of the state. And like I said, you see those who want to have him like perpetually incarcerated or even killed, they are not just the puppets in Nigeria. There are also external interests who have a vested interest in that contraption. Nigeria, there are vested interests as well. I mean, if you have been reading about the USAID, I bet some of this expose on the activities in over 100 countries all over the world, including maintaining status quo, influencing and funding dictators and oppressive regimes, as long as it's kind of abides or aligns with the USAID agenda. And I kind of suspect this, that very soon we are going to know that they are also interested in ensuring that the conversation around whether people still want to be part of this contraption or not, if they are not interested in funding, if they have not been funding the quiet genocide, massacre of the Igbos in Nigeria, especially in the last 9 years. I won't be surprised if the expose gets to that stage where, you know, journalists have been funded like to hide the atrocities of Nigeria, Nigerian army, Nigerian authority in the eastern part of Nigeria. Make it look like the IPOB, a terrorist organization, right? That they are dangerous to the existence of the people of the eastern part of Nigeria. I won't be surprised. So, when they kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya, Nigeria violated an international treaty. Nigeria became a rogue nation that just believed that they could do anything. And in partnership with Kenya, even though Kenya later denied that they didn't even know anything, despite the fact that evidence of their involvement in extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria. Now, since then, Nigeria has been losing in their own court, in their own country, where the right to, you know, fair trial is not guaranteed. So they locked Nnamdi Kanu up, and they have been doing a lot to build what they call the unacceptable case against Nnamdi Kanu and against the IPOB. Today, there are those, right? Even like I said, the self-18 Igbos. Some of them don't even live in Igbo land. Some of them live abroad. Some of them live in Lagos. And if you read what they are practically saying about the IPOB or Nnamdi Kanu and what they are wishing on him, the level of hatred, then you can understand that the compromise, the compromise of the supposed, young, enlightened Igbos on this matter is so influenced by those who have been building this kind of, this kind of a case against Nnamdi Kanu. But there's something I have to remind you of. Before the escalation of insecurity in the eastern part of Nigeria, in which we do know the people behind them, right? All the parties involved, including those who have publicly claimed responsibility. Before all of this, there was never a single case of an ordinary harassment, not to talk of any act of violence or kidnapping or attacks anywhere when Nnamdi Kanu was free. I will keep reminding you that. Even today, there are those who, in case if you don't know, there are those who are paid, especially on social media, to push the narrative of the insecurity in eastern Nigeria is caused by Nnamdi Kanu. Some are even saying Nnamdi Kanu misled our youth. He made our youth to make enemies of Fulanis. This is how you are going to identify those who are actually really sponsored to push the narrative that everything Nnamdi Kanu, everything IPOB, right, caused the insecurity in the eastern part of Nigeria. And this is how they have been trying to build a false case. But you know something? We know those who have been politically sponsoring the insecurity in eastern Nigeria. We know those they hired purposely, right, to further create insecurity in the eastern part of Nigeria. We even know a governor who is now a minister. They are met with Nnamdi Kanu in Enugu 7 years or so ago. And this is Devulumayi and others. Ogwai, Devulumayi, and others in the eastern part of Nigeria at the time. When they asked him what Bokwari sent them, right? That what could they give to him to make him drop this Biafra agitation? Because it's making them look so bad in the face of their puppet masters, the Fulanis in Abuja. True story. They called Nnamdi Kanu to a meeting in Enugu. And the guy, when he met with them, they were even surprised, right? That his demands were were supposed to be like so simple and ordinary. And none of his demands was personal to him. Like, I need to get this or I need to get that. Nnamdi Kanu made 11 or 13 demands, which, if I can remember correctly, included investing in the security of the eastern part of Nigeria to safeguard the ordinary folks, farmers, villagers in the eastern part of Nigeria from the invading Fulani terrorists in that region. Nnamdi Kanu asked that, you see this brain drain in the eastern part of Nigeria, where young people in eastern, young Igbos have to go outside Igbo land to go and look for a greener pasture, must stop. You governors should invest in these young people, open up the seaports, dredge the river Niger, create employment for these young people in eastern part of Nigeria. Create an economy that will kind of like flourish and prosper the Igbos in eastern part of Nigeria. These are just like, normal things that the supposed political class should be doing, by the way. And they were like, okay, so if we do that, would you stop asking for Biafra? I said, no. Okay. But there is something. We can slow it down and give you time to nurture those ideas, those developments. That was his position. 2 weeks later, they sent the soldiers to go and kill him in Afarauku, in his hometown. True story. He escaped the assassination. And that was the moment he knew that he could not trust these criminal politicians. So if you are non-Igbo, for example, and you have this propaganda that has been fed to you that make you think, yeah, Nnamdi Kanu addressing your criminal leaders, whether your leaders are Yorubas, or they are Fulanis, or they are Hausas, or they are pastors, or your imams, guess what? Whatever you think Nnamdi Kanu said about your leaders, he has said worse about the Igbo leaders. He categorically called them out to the point that they were so dreaded of him. And that kind of brings us to the understanding that the reason why they said, they asked, that they begged Bokwari to get rid of him, that they are in support. True story. The attack on Nnamdi Kanu was not, even though Bokwari was so afraid enough of the name Biafra, that he reminded himself of it like an unfinished business. Still, the madman Bokwari didn't have the capacity. He didn't have the audacity to unleash terror on the young Igbos in Igbo land or Nnamdi Kanu as a person without the consent of the Igbo governors, the Igbo political class, who saw Nnamdi Kanu as a threat. And I will remind you this. There were some of them who actually publicly said, or in fact, publicly thanked Bokwari because they said Nnamdi Kanu has become so powerful that the only thing he hasn't done was to call for their assassination. They were so afraid of Nnamdi Kanu that they believed that maybe Nnamdi Kanu will one day call on the people to remove, to kill them, kind of get rid of them. They were so afraid.